On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tacova store. So stop by Tacova's Nashville, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tacova's Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacova's. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Nashville, we're here with the star of the Instagram account that gives you your favorite hole-in-the-wall recommendations for food around the city, Enes Sibba of Nashville Hidden Gems. We're talking about how he uncovers the restaurants he features and how he started giving food tours as a senior at Belmont. He doesn't want to tell you where to propose to your girlfriend, but he did give us his recommendations for a perfect weekend of food in Nashville. This was such a great conversation that we decided to split it into 2 parts, so this is just part 1. Keep an eye out, part 2 will be airing in a couple weeks. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tacovas. It's August 29th, I'm Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Enes, you do such a good job uncovering these mom and pop hole-in-the-wall restaurants. How do you find them?
Yeah, I have a network of people on the street that are looking. No, I'm just kidding. For me, I mean, there are some that have been recommended to me for sure. I will say when I do get recommendations, I sometimes have to look at the profile the person sent me, and it's like the owner's cousin or their little brother or something. I'm like, well, of course you're gonna like this place. So I don't know how to say this in a way. I feel like this might hurt people's perception of me, but like, I don't trust everyone's taste buds the same. Like, I have some friends who I know our palate is similar. I know we like the same thing. So, like, if one of my brothers, for example, tells me, "Hey, this spot is really good. You got to check it out," it's gonna just be ranked higher in my head as far as like, okay, I'm gonna need to make time for this. But like sometimes on like some forums and stuff, I see like, what people's favorite spots are, and I'm like, no, not anywhere near my favorite spot. Or someone from out of town's like, you have to go check out this place. And I'm like, no, I mean, if you only had a weekend in Nashville, that's not the restaurant I would tell you have to go to. Not that it's bad, but like not the one that you have to go to. So it's definitely, when I get recommendations from people who I've eaten with them before, I just know what they like and it's similar to what I like. I rank that pretty highly, but a lot of it, honestly, is I'm driving around and I just see a place that just sticks out to me.
Okay, so you talked about getting recommendations from people who may or may not have your same taste. In terms of the restaurants that you feature, do you only feature places that you personally like? Or if somebody else was like super into it, would you take their word for it and be like, I don't dig this, but that doesn't mean it's not worthy of a feature? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if it's going to be featured on my page, like I've been there for sure. Like I dine there 100%. I'm like pretty protective about what I put out, because, I mean, I'm really grateful with this page. Like there's so much mutual trust that's been built. And, people reach out to me all the time with these questions. I love them, but they stress me out. They'll be like, hey, man, I have a special, anniversary dinner coming or those are okay. Those are like not that hard to do. But the ones where it's like, I haven't seen my mom in 10 years and, we're about I want this to be a special dinner or I've had a crush on this girl for all these years and now she's letting me take her out. Where should I take her? And I'm like, oh my God, like you're putting like so much pressure on me to give you a good recommendation because I don't get to repeat a lot of restaurants really frequently. But I will say this, there's still a lot of places in Nashville I haven't been to yet. And sometimes if I have a friend who's visiting and I just know maybe they're interested in more fine dining than I've personally been able to experience, I'll think back on what people have told me where they've had really great experiences, and I'll tell them, hey, I haven't had a chance to experience this place, but I've heard really great things about it from multiple people. It seems like it's your vibe. Like, check it out. Let me know what you think. So there are still gaps in my knowledge about the Nashville restaurant space, especially when it comes to the not fine dining, but just more sit-down dinner restaurants. For sure, there's still a long list that just keeps getting longer and longer of places I'm wanting to check out.
If somebody comes to you and they say, here's where I want to propose to my girlfriend or whatever, do you ever get like negative feedback following up? Like, is that why you're stressed out by it? Or you're just your own stress?
The reason I'm stressed out by it is because, first of all, I think the food scene in Nashville has gotten so much better in recent years. But I will say it's harder and harder to find a place that's consistently good and especially consistently good with service. And I feel like when you're wanting to take someone to a special dinner, whatever the occasion is, ultimately, like you want the food to be good, but what's going to make or break your experience is the service, in my opinion. The food can be amazing, but if you felt like you weren't welcome, you weren't treated well, you're going to leave there not happy about your experience. And people are happy to spend $100 to $500 or more on a dinner when they feel like they've been taken care of and they were able to celebrate a special moment and they had that connection with the staff. So that's why I'm always nervous, because I'm like, what if you go and you're spending all this money? See, if someone's asking me what my favorite taco place is, I mean, look, when you're paying street food prices, honestly, just be happy the food got to you. And obviously you want people to be polite and stuff, but the worst you're going to be out of is $20, right? But if you're asking me for a recommendation for a nice sit down meal, you might be spending what someone pays for their rent on a dinner. And if I can't guarantee for sure that I know the staff there really takes service seriously, then I feel just nervous giving those recommendations, because I know the food was good when I went there, but what if you don't have that same experience with the staff? And even when I go unannounced, whatever, to restaurants, I still don't know if I'm getting some level of special treatment because, I don't know. I mean, which is,
what my presence. Yeah.
But, that is what, the most, I don't consider myself a food critic, but I know he just retired recently, but I think Pete Wells from New York Times. But I mean, that was what people who wrote about the food space and did food media, it was part of the job requirement was you don't have a public presence. Your identity is anonymous to preserve the integrity of your reviews, But if I'm coming in, even if you have no idea who I am, because I'm not that important that everyone knows who I am.
Well.
But if you see me with a phone or a light or a bigger camera, it just is oh, well, hey, let's send them something extra maybe, or let's, you know what I mean? It can cause that. It can also cause the opposite, because I know plenty of restaurants have had really bad experiences with influencers, So there's also that too, of people kind of being turned off to the idea of content creators, influencers taking pictures of your meal.
So what's your next move with your content?
One direction I'm going in with some of the content that is a little different from the regular food stuff I've been doing is, I guess, more Nashville stories, we can call them. Doing some stuff featuring some musicians, kind of longtime Nashvillians. I mean, that's kind of, I really want to lean into that, because food content will always perform well because people save them to refer to later. Or they send them to friends because they're like, hey, let's go eat here. Hey, take me out here, But there's something about, for me, I'm I've been in Nashville my whole life, but I'll be honest, there's some parts of Nashville and some scenes in Nashville that I've never really explored. And I actually want to do a lot of content on Lower Broadway, not on which honky tonk do you have to go to, the top 5 honky tonks on Broadway. I don't want to do that. But Broadway is this whole ecosystem. They're behind the scenes. I want to know, what is the ecosystem that is propping up this $1 billion stretch of, I don't know, was it 6 blocks, 8 blocks maybe from 8th Avenue down to the river. I just think there's a lot going on there. I know for locals it's really easy to dunk on Broadway, and I dunk on Broadway all the time. But I mean, there are people who, they're feeding families because they're working on Broadway. They're able to, buy a home, do things because they've been working on Broadway for all these years. And there's also what's the toll that it takes on someone who's been working late nights or doing the circuit of performing all across all these different venues downtown. I think there's just a lot there that I want to get into. And for me, it's just interesting from just a Nashvilleian perspective, because Nashville has always been a town about being real and building real, meaningful relationships. Face-to-face is undefeated. There's nothing, no amount of parasocial online, nothing can really ever replace that. And that's something that I've realized after all this success digitally, as far as the numbers and the growth. To me, in a city like Nashville, it all comes down to how you treat people in person, and just, the reputation that you're able to build based on who you are and how you interact with the people around you and the community around you.
I'm here with Enes Seba of Nashville Hidden Gems on Instagram. We have a whole nother thing to talk about here, which is your food tours. What is your focus with the food tours? I don't know if everybody knows about them, because I think most people probably know you from your Instagram account and seen reels, and my dad sending me reels that you've done.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't really talk about the food tours much, even though I started this page because I started the food tour back in 2019. I was a senior at Belmont, and living in Nashville my whole life, family's business in the South Nashville area, and I just knew we had very vibrant international community, and all my friends were coming from bigger cities, more diverse parts of the country, and they're saying things like, hey, you can't find this type of food here, this type of food here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were also broke college kids, and South Nashville was one of the places where we could get a lot of food for a great price, and it was great tasting food. So there was a semester where I maybe took like 30 of my friends to eat at different taco trucks, try Salvadoran food, all this type of stuff. So I was basically doing a food tour during that time. And then I had done a little bit of traveling, and I saw that Airbnb experiences were a thing, and I registered the food tour as an Airbnb experience. And that's how I started. It was really taking off in early 2020. I remember telling myself, oh man, I need a break. I'm doing this tour like twice a day on the weekends and everything. And then I got the break I asked for with the pandemic. So took a break from doing the tours for a while. We relaunched them again. And I wanted the focus for the tour to really be, I wanted to design it to be something more for locals and not for tourists. I would say 90% of my customers were tourists. And I'm not really going for the individual like person who's like, oh, what should I do this weekend? I'll sign up for a food tour, because I get it. I would never book a food tour in my own city. But I wanted to think, okay, how can I really provide more value to the people that take this tour and to the restaurant owners? And that's why I wanted to do it with locals, because there's more opportunity for people to come back. And so the new audience I started reaching out to were, organizations and corporate groups, and doing it as a team building activity.
That's cool.
And we've had a ton of success with that. I mean, just like the level of connection they can get when I can bring a group of 10, 12, up to 18, 20 people. And I can coordinate with the owners in the restaurants, so that the owners come out and they share a little bit about their culture and about the food that we're going to try. And just elevating the experience is something that, I could have given you a list of these restaurants, but you weren't going to get this type of access and this type of education and cultural enrichment. And we've had really great feedback since we've been doing that. I mean, over the last couple of years of doing this, I have a lot of relationships with restaurant owners across the city, and it doesn't even have to be a South Nashville tour, but it's been really cool to show people this side of Nashville, because there are people who have lived their whole life in Nashville and they've never gone down to South Nashville. And I mean, people think South Nashville is some crazy place. I'm like, it's really not, honestly. Like if you're comfortable dining out in East, you got to be comfortable dining out in South Nashville, because it's not that different.
That's awesome. How do we sign up for tours?
So there's not a lot of public tours available as far as like public dates that are available to sign up for. But on my website, there is a spot for public tours. Like if it's just like, you and a friend or whatever, or someone visiting, they want to book it. And then there's also a link for private tours, where there's just a small intake form where I can get some more information and then reach out. I don't have the bandwidth to host the tour public dates multiple days a week like I used to.
Sure. Because
the content stuff has kind of taken over. And this last year has been this challenge of balancing how much time and resources I could put towards making content, how much time and resources I could put towards focusing on the food tour. They're two different businesses that require like two different brains. But I've been really pleased with just the new partners we have on the food tour, the restaurants I've been taking people to.
Cool.
It's been a lot of fun.
How do you feel about the content taking over?
I want to be doing a mix of the food tours and content. I mean, really grateful for the opportunities this page has given me. Honestly, like from a career business standpoint, it has come with a lot of this last year and a half. It's like the content's like the Wild West.
Yeah.
I mean, it is such a crazy industry, and I've learned a lot. And I think sometimes people's perception of like what success looks like is so different. I mean, for me, I've been trying to reframe my thinking of taking it back to the original purpose of this page, which was to highlight mom and pop businesses. And really my goal for myself and the end of this year and moving forward is to be doing more regular in-person events. We've done a few. We did a dumpling class with Mama Yang and daughter.
Ooh,
we
fun.
did a night market. That was a lot of fun. We did a night market at Golden Pony. We did a family style dinner with V and Pho. And, with those, they were so fulfilling, so rewarding. And they really took me out of this place of burnout that I was feeling with content, because even when I'm thinking it's not bothering me, like the mental health aspect of like being chronically online, it started to wear on me a little bit, but then doing those events, it really brought me back to being grounded in building something real, a real community. Because I've been telling people this recently, because they're like, oh, dude, the page is blowing up. And I'm like, yes, I'm super thankful for all of that. I'd never want to take that for granted, but I've never looked at a video get a certain amount of views, oh, it got 100,000 views. Like, I feel great about myself today. You know, I can look at myself in the mirror and say, I've had a great day today.
Yeah.
No, but like when I can go to a business and they tell me, hey, like, you know, you really helped us, you know, get going and really helped us build our first customer base, or, you know, we can do an event with a business and, you know, we're able to showcase like the skill of, you know, with Mama Yang and daughter, you know, Grace's mom is just so skilled at dumpling making, and just the way she was able to connect with people, like to give people that level of connection, provide them that experience that they would not have been able to get. Those are the things that really make running this page worthwhile for me. And I'm really trying to lean into that aspect of it this year.
I love it. My last one might be a pain in the butt, so I'm sorry in advance.
No, all good.
Can you please give me your perfect Nashville weekend? I'm going to give you 2 breakfasts, 2 lunch, 2 dinners.
Okay. That's a great question. Breakfast is hard.
Yeah.
Breakfast is hard in Nashville. I'll be honest. Literally, I feel like once a week I'm Googling where to get breakfast in Nashville.
Yeah.
But I will give you a certified hidden gem, like a 100% hidden gem. Because like not every place I post is a hidden gem. I know that.
Yeah.
But this one, 1000%, every definition, it fits it. Butter, eggs, and bacon in the Chestnut Hill area. Really, really good. It's just a couple outdoor tables. I think he's open Wednesday to Saturday. He has some interesting weekend specials sometimes, but you can go there. You can get something really classic, like a fried bologna sandwich. You can get egg and cheese biscuit, pancakes. Great guy. I love everything he does and what he stands for. Second place for breakfast. Where do I even go for breakfast these days? What are your favorite breakfast spots? Might remind me of a spot I like.
I go to Sky Blue Cafe if I'm going to come up with a...
Sky Blue is a classic for sure. I just remembered another spot. Big Al's Deli. Big Al's, another classic.
Noted.
Open for breakfast, open for lunch. So Big Al's and butter, eggs, and bacon.
All right, lunch.
Lunch, you got to do Arnold's Country Kitchen. To me, they're the king of meat and three, and they're so close to downtown. So it's just like logistically, if you're visiting Nashville, like look, I have some spots I like, but if you're only here for a weekend, I'm not going to tell you to get on I-24 and, you know, leave the city center and just for a spot all the way out there. So to me, Arnold's, with its proximity to downtown, it's number one for sure. And number two, for lunch, I would say, when it comes to hot chicken, there's a couple places I really, really like. If you're adventurous and you want to make the drive up there to Clarksville Pike, 400 Degrees hot chicken for sure. Aki is just amazing. Her personality is amazing. If you're not able to do that and you still want that hot chicken experience, I would say Red's Hot Chicken or Red's 615 Kitchen. I can't remember exactly what they call it. What's great about Red's is they're right next to the Parthenon, so you can get some hot chicken, look at the Parthenon, hang out at Centennial Park. I highly recommend Red's.
Love it. Okay, dinner.
I would say Noco for sure. I think Noco's just always consistent. I know they're new, but they've just been doing a great job, and I really, really appreciate just how seriously they take hospitality. Number two, I'm going to go with Margot. The reason I'm going to say Margot is because I feel like with all the new restaurants that are opening up in Nashville, a lot of times the classic spots that are time tested and just were the original spots to bring higher level of dining to a neighborhood, they don't get talked about enough. But just because they're not getting talked about doesn't mean that they're not busy, because like places like Lachlan Table, Margot, I mean, in my experience, they stay busy because, and they don't need to advertise themselves because they've just been consistently excellent for so long. And it's funny because if there's an older Nashvilleian on here, they might be telling me, well, I remember when Margot was a new kid on the spot. I think they've been around at least 20 years. They've been around for a long time. And just really, really classic food there.
I like that you connected that to like little activities and stuff. I think that's cute.
That's important, I think, when you're making a trip, you know. And that Nashville is just not super interconnected, you know. There's not a ton of neighborhoods you can go to and plan a full day around. So I think it's important to kind of have some spots there that you could plan a couple things before or after to make it a full activity.
Well, thank you so much. I'll be sending this episode to everybody I know, whoever says that they want to visit Nashville. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys so much.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Go follow Nashville Hidden Gems if you're somehow not already following him. And if you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye!